Hey, thanks for tuning into the Cocktails with Jim podcast. I'm here with Mr. Patrick Jeffrey, and he has some interesting stories to tell about growing up in New Prague, Minnesota, and being adopted and meeting some of his siblings and biological family. Patrick and I are from New Prague, Minnesota. We were in Catholic school together for a while, right?
Yep,
And we were in high school together. We played in band together. You're gonna have to refresh my memory. What year did you graduate?
2006, right after you.
2006. Okay, I graduated in 2005. I knew we were close, but
hmm
so tell me a little bit about your background and what it was like growing up in New Prague and kind of your family situation a little bit.
Yeah, so I was adopted at 20 days old, so I just knew my adopted parents as my parents, Loy and Jane. My dad was the chaplain at the hospital there, and then my mom was a third grade teacher. I was really pissed at her when she told me that she chose to not have me in her class in third grade. I was like, wait, you said I could have been in your class, but you said no, which was pretty rude to me. But looking back, it was the best choice because I would have been a not the greatest student in my mom's class. But yeah, I grew up in New Prague. Uh, it was I didn't notice anything because I was raised by two white people that in a very white town. I didn't really notice that I was that much different. I mean, I knew I wasn't the same, but I was like, oh, I don't know. It wasn't really a big deal. It got to be more of a deal in high school, I think, when it became more prevalent that I didn't look like everyone else. But at a very young age, I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just one of the kids here. So that was never a thing, which was nice. It was nice growing up in a small town. Got to bike everywhere and knew so many people and never really felt like there was a lot of danger. Just kind of threw on my bike helmet and hopped on the pedals and went wherever I wanted to go.
Nice. So then when you graduated high school in '06, I stalked your LinkedIn a little bit today. You went to Gustavus, right?
Oh God, I haven't updated that in years. Yeah. Went to Gustavus, was there for 4 years, and then graduated in 2010 and went to pretty much immediately to a company called Black Label Movement in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's run by the director of the University of Minnesota's dance and theater program, Carl Flink. And I danced there for like 7 years off on it. Well, pretty much 7 years consistently, 5, 6, 7 years consistently. And then I danced with a couple more companies, Xenon Dance Company, which is no longer open. They still have a school, but the dance company is no longer there. I joined Collide Theatrical in 2013, and I've been dancing with them off and on ever since the pandemic. I've been dancing with them pretty much exclusively. And then I Xenon Collide, and then I got into the Ordway for a while and did some musical theater, which was really nice. I
Awesome.
miss musical theater.
I'm in that realm a little bit as well, not on the dancing or stage side or anything like that. You wouldn't want to watch me dance. It would be scary.
I'd pay to
Um,
watch you dance.
hey, and maybe in the right circumstances, maybe. But anyway, I one of the most fun playing gigs I get to do each year is with our high school band director, Mrs. Gallagher, and her daughter, Catherine. We do two musicals each year, and the musical theater is just so fun. I've never been on the stage side of it, but playing in the pit for that stuff is really fun.
Oh yeah, and having a pit makes all the difference because there's nothing like live music. Canned music, gets you through a show, but live music invigorates your performance.
In the words of my friend Brad Bombardier, rest his soul, there's no substitute for live music, and it's 100% true.
Yep.
So, okay. So when I was on Facebook, we were Facebook friends, and I kind of followed your journey a little bit, and I heard you on another podcast maybe 2 years ago or something like that. I was working at the liquor store at the time. I picked up a part-time gig during the pandemic because with my teaching gig, I wasn't doing nighttime stuff that I would normally do. And so I figured, well, I'll fill that time up with some hours and make a little bit of money. And I worked at the liquor store in town, which was a lot of fun. And I remember one Sunday, I was not very busy, and I somehow came across your podcast. I don't know if you had it posted on your socials or what, and I listened to it and was just mesmerized. I knew you in high school and in grade school, but I didn't know your story. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about, did you at some point figure out who your mom was, and then you
Yep.
met another set of siblings? To stop me if I'm wrong, but that's what I remember from it.
Yep. So my adoption was partially closed. So until I turned 18 or 21, I think it was 21, I was not allowed to know any information about my biological mother or anything about her life other than that she existed and like cared. She would send me a Christmas card or a birthday card almost every year, but outside of that, I didn't really know anything about her. I just knew that she was always thinking about me. And so 20 my junior year of college, she was able to send me a picture of herself, because yeah, so it must have been 21. And so she sent it for my 21st birthday, and it was like her and my younger brother Jerry and my two younger sisters Lauren and Selena. And um I my mom was like, oh gosh, my adopted mom Jane. She's like, I didn't want to give it to you until you're after out of school that year. So she gave it to me in the early part of the summer because she's like, I didn't want to mess with like grades. I didn't know how it would affect you to see this picture and have this letter. And so I opened it. And I just remember like looking and seeing. I still didn't see people that looked like me, but it was there was still a familiarity about them. And then I just remember walking outside and crying and dancing. And I was like, I don't know what else to do. I have
Yeah.
to move. Um, yeah. And then once that happened, I knew I could call her and talk to her. But I didn't really muster up the courage until the end of January the following year. And so then I requested the paperwork, and I got the paperwork from the adoption company. Didn't fill it out for a month. Finally filled it out beginning of March, and then they called me while I was at a dance festival in Wisconsin with the school, and they're like, "Okay, you can call your mom. Here's her number. Do you want to talk about anything?" And I was like, I don't think I have questions." And I ended up talking to that guy for half an hour. And then I was, yeah, I just remember laying on the bed in a hotel while I was supposed to be like watching a dance concert, but I had already seen four that week. I was like, that's enough. 3 hour dance concerts. I'm going to call my biological mom. And I don't remember dialing. Like, I remember looking down at my phone and be like, holy shit, it's ringing. What? I did not know that was going to happen. And so, yeah, then she didn't answer. I called her work phone and she didn't answer. And I left a message, and then she called back about 3 minutes later, and she's like, "Hi, this is Katie from Mortgage Lenders of America." And I was like, "Oh, hi, yeah, I'm Patrick." And she just yelled, "Oh my God, it's my son!" I was like, "What? I just said one name, and it's me." So yeah, that was the beginning. That's pretty crazy.
I can't imagine what that would be like. Did you have a desire when you were growing up to want to get to know this person, and were you ever upset that you weren't able to contact her until that point, or not so much?
Not so much. I mean, it might have. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I think so. They're kind of, especially with two. So I have another adopted brother, Brian. Um, my parents adopted him when he was 2 years old, at the end of sixth grade or beginning of seventh grade for me. So we're 11 years apart. And usually in an adoptive household, there is like a more compliant one who's like a people pleaser and who doesn't want to make any waves. That's me. Hello. And then there's Brian, who's like very much butting heads all the time. And that's kind of how it goes in a lot of families, but definitely in an adoptive family, it's usually one and one. Um, so I was just kind of go with the flow. I don't want to make waves. I want to make sure that my parents are happy and that I'm happy. Um, yeah, and that's partially a defense mechanism to be like, if I don't screw anything up, you won't leave me. And so I think I made that unconscious choice at an early age to be like, I'm going to be as close to perfect as I can so no one goes away again. But yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about the other person. the most I thought about them was like it it would happen every once in a while walking on the street, like, but is that my mom? Like, there's no way it is, but like, is that my mom? But I already had a mom and a dad, so I wasn't too concerned at a younger age until I saw her
Sure.
picture, and then I was like, okay, it's all different now.
So you were 21, a junior in college. You got this photo. You made this phone call. You talked with your biological mom. Did you know before that that you had other
Nope,
siblings or
not
okay.
before the picture.
Okay. So what happened next? Because I know
Uh,
you've met her, and I think you told me that you lived with your brother for a little while, right?
yep, correct. So I moved, or let's see, I called her on March 17th, and no, March 19th, and spring break was 2 weeks later. So I drove down to meet all of them for spring break, and I was planning to be there for 3 days. I think I stayed for 4 or 5. Um, and yeah, it wasn't as awkward as I thought it might have been. But it also wasn't like meeting family. It's kind of a weird relationship, especially with my mom. For a long time, we were best friends, but we were never like, I could tell her anything, and I would never tell my mom, because we didn't have that relationship of mother son. And like, I would tell my brother Jerry things that I told her, and she's like, why would you say that to mom? And I was like, well, because to me she's not mom. Like, she never disciplined me. She never, I didn't have that relationship. Um so yeah, and I remember we did a little, I just gotten a Mac, or a laptop, and so we like went in a photo booth and did a photo shoot in their kitchen because we didn't know what to do, and we were all on the trampoline, and we're just like chilling, and there was a little silence, and then Jerry's how old is he? 16 at the time. He's like, well, this is awkward. we're like well, we didn't think it was awkward until you said it, and now, yeah, I mean, when you say it out loud, it is kind of awkward. um but yeah, and so kind of grew in a relationship with all of them. Jerry and I don't really talk to our sisters very much anymore, um, just for this and that reason. But yeah, in the pandemic, um, Jerry had moved down to Arizona with his girlfriend at the time, and then they had broken up, and they had a 2 bedroom, and I was living at home, and he was like, hey, do you want to live here? And I said, well, let me come see what it's like first. So I went down there for 4 days, and I was like, okay, Arizona's sweet, and I can be outside in the winter and not cooped up, especially during the pandemic. So yeah, I'll move in. So I moved down there for like a year and 4 months or so. Hi, kitten.
Yeah, pardon her here. She runs the household.
Oh, absolutely. I wish my cats would show up. Melvin, Cosmo. Later, maybe.
I appreciate that you're a fellow cat lover. I've been a cat person my whole life, and I will never change.
Nope, not planning on. I want to have
Yeah.
5 cats. That's my goal once I have a house.
And we do the rescue thing, and that's
Mm-hmm.
been super rewarding because you give an animal a second chance. And not that I regret getting this one, she's awesome, but I think next time I'd like to get a bonded pair and have two. I've never had two cats at the same time, so it'd
Yeah,
be pretty
it's
cool.
nice. It's nice to watch them play together. Although Melvin and Cosmo didn't come together. I just forced them in a room and said, "You're best friends now," and they said, "Yeah, okay, we are."
Well, it's nice that it worked. Sometimes you hear stories where that just doesn't go well,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I think you're lucky there. On this other podcast, you talked a little bit about have you met or talked with your biological dad? Is that something we could get
Yep.
into, or
Yeah.
if not, we certainly don't have to.
No, for sure. So biological dad is not the happiest of stories. It's not terrible, but it's so I didn't really want a relationship with him. I wanted to know who he was, but I've just, I don't know. He never showed interest in me, so I was like, whatever. I don't need to know this guy. And so my birth mom moved down to Florida, and she's a talker. She loves to talk to people. She's just a people person through and through. And so she was out on the beach one morning with two of her girlfriends to watch the sunrise because one of them had never seen the sunrise. And she got talking to someone else who was down there. And they happened to be from the same town that my bio dad lives in. And so she's like, do you know Craig? And they're like, yeah, we know him. She's like, okay, take my picture, take my number, give it when next time you see him, just have him call me. And so he did. And they talked for a while. And my mom texted me. She's like, "You'll never guess who I talked to. I talked to your dad. I gave him your phone number." And I was like, "Why would you give him my phone number? Like, give me his phone number. I don't want him to make first contact because I would like to have some control on this."
That's fair.
And
Yep.
yeah. And so I was like, okay, tell him not to text me or call me, and I will reach out when I'm ready. And so that was in February. And then my birthday hit coming up in a couple days. And I got a text. I woke up. I remember I woke up at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, okay, I think I could reach out to my bio dad. I was gonna be like, okay, I was gonna send him a text. I'm like, hey, make sure that your voicemail set up. It'd be great if it was your voice. If not, that's fine. I want to tell you things about myself. I would love to hear your voice. I'm not ready to talk yet, but I'm ready to like start that process. And then I had just fallen back asleep, and I woke up to a text, and it was from him, and I was furious. um, I was like, I've only asked you for one thing in my whole life, and that was for you to wait, and you didn't do it. And so then I talked to my brother a couple times. He's like, dude, but you might not have a chance ever again to talk to him, so you might as well reach out. And so a month later, I was like, okay, yeah, I can talk to you. So I sent him I think I called him. And I just been cast in Mamma Mia, which I didn't know the plot to, which was hysterical. And so I called him and I was like, hey, yeah, hi. And we talked for like half an hour, and I invited him to the show, and he said he would come. He's like, yeah, I'll fly your mom up. I was like, cool, great, sounds awesome. I'll meet you during the show. And then I got into rehearsals and found out the show is about a woman who's looking for her dad out of three. It's like, cool, nice, great. And then I text him just to see if he was still going to come to the show, and he responded with, "Who is this?" I was like, "You had my number,
Oh, wow.
but then you said, 'Who is this?'" So that's pretty much when I cut him off. Um, we text one more time, but I was just like, "This is you don't care enough to remember who I am." And he struggled with drug addiction for a long time, I guess, and he has three other kids with three other women, so he hasn't, and he was never a father to any of them, I guess. So like,
Okay.
he's not meant to be a dad. I'm not looking for him to be my dad.
Understandable.
Used to call him donor a lot, and I still think of him that way. He's like, yeah, you gave me life, and but you didn't mean to, and you didn't, But yeah, so
Got it. So have your adoptive parents, your parents, have they met your biological mom? Do they have any sort of relationship, or like what was that like once they had a chance to know that you had made contact, and how did it go from on their side?
yeah, they've been nothing but supportive my entire life.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they have met. I have a picture from Romeo and Juliet back in like 2014 or something, um, with all of us in the picture, which is pretty nice. Um, they don't talk a lot. I guess I thought they might have talked more. I think it hurts my mom a little bit, um, more than my dad. Um, but they're very supportive, and you know, it opened up a part of my world that I never had access to before. So I think they're happy about that.
Awesome.
Um, Even though it probably causes them some sorts of pain at times.
I'm sure there's a lot of dynamics and a lot of emotions going on there that I don't know that I'd be able to wrap my head around.
Yeah, same.
Well, thanks for sharing that stuff, man. That's
Yeah.
I wanted to get a chance to talk to you about it after I heard that podcast, and yeah, appreciate you sitting down with me here. What before we do wrap up, where can we catch you next? What show are you in? What are you doing next for that aspect?
Yeah, so we're doing a Collide Theatrical. I'm still dancing with them. So we're doing a show April, oh gosh, 19th through the 21st, maybe.
What's coming right up?
Yeah, it's gonna be at Luminary Arts Center, which is in the Warehouse district right next to the Acme Comedy Club. And that's just one weekend. But then next year, if you look up Clyde Theatrical, um, I'm doing their whole season again. So I'll be there yeah, all year. And then I'm actually dancing at Valley Fair this summer, which will be,
Ooh,
yeah, it'll be different. I was on a cruise ship for a while, so I'm guessing it'll be like that, except instead of living in a closet, I'll get to go home to my cats, which will be very nice.
oh man,
Um,
if you're anything like the music people that I know that have played cruise ship gigs, I'm sure you have some interesting stories from that too.
yeah, it was a time. And then, I was on the ship when COVID hit. So I was like,
Oh man,
please get me off of this before we all get locked on. And we got off, I think, like a week before they said nobody else could get off the ships. So
what a weird
it
ordeal
was,
that was.
yeah,
Thank
it
goodness
was
that's in the past.
no kidding.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for sitting down here tonight. This has been great. And yeah, we'll have to get together in person here one of these times and chat some more, have a couple drinks, and I'd love to catch one of your shows sometime. Bring my girls are both in dance as well too. My little one is constantly flipping and twisting around, and so they would love to see something like that. We'll have to catch one of your gigs sometime.
Heck yeah.
All right, Patrick. Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thanks, Jim. Good talking to you.
Yeah, for sure.